Okay. All right. Good afternoon. This is the Board of Directors, our regular meeting for Metro Fire District. Today is Thursday, January 26th, and it's 6:02. All right. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Madam Chair, would you do the roll call, please?
Gladly. I'll begin with Director.
Board Clerk.
Yeah, that's okay. She can take the.
I'm here. Gould,
Present.
Weber,
Present.
Wood,
Here.
Sheets. Present. Rice,
Here.
Jones,
Here.
Costa,
Here.
and President Clark, turning it over to you. We are all present in person.
All right.
Nice to see everyone.
Yes, it's very good to see everyone. Let's do the pledge to the flag. Director Gould, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for Cablecast on Metro Cable 14. Replay on Sunday, January 29th at 2 p.m. and Monday, January 30th at 6 p.m. on Channel 14. Webcast at Metro 14 live.saccounty.gov. And next we have the public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
We do not have any speakers from our audience. However, Art, if you could allow our virtual audience to unmute and give them a chance to speak.
Hello, attendees. You now have the ability to unmute yourself if there's anything you'd like to present to the board at this time. No response.
Hearing none, let's go to the consent items. We've all had a chance to look at the consent agenda, and do we have any questions? No questions?
Motion we adopt the consent.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Director Wood, and a second, was it Director Rice?
Costa.
Costa. Okay. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Director Sailors. Aye. Gould,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Sheets, Rice,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Costa,
Aye.
and Clark.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next, we have a presentation item. We have a couple items. The first one is on the unrepresented salary and classification study. And presenters will be Shelley Anderson with Bryce Consulting.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Board President, Directors, Fire Chief Haverty, Pania. I think this is the first time we've had the entire board here in 3 years. About 3 years, so.
You're here.
Good evening to you all. I am Ty Bailey, Deputy Chief of the Administration. Over the course of the 2022 negotiations and at the request of the Board of Directors, the HR division contracted with Bryce Consulting, who offered classification and compensation reviews to private and public clients in order to complete a salary survey for all districts' unrepresented personnel. Shelley Anderson from Bryce Consulting was retained in the spring of 2022 to complete this survey on our behalf, which included a salary survey, job description reviews, and job classifications assessments. The Metro 14 was utilized for this study. It included and provided consistency for the salaries used for comparison purposes during negotiations for suppression, VC, Metro Medic Program, and the ASP contract. The following presentation is not an action item, and there will be no recommendations included, and your vote will not be needed. The changes that are being recommended by Bryce Consulting will be considered during the mid-year budget preparation, and if recommended, it will be included in mid-year budget action. The presentation this evening I would like to, at this time, invite Shelley Anderson up to the dais so that she can provide us with a summary of our findings. And at the end of that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. So thank you.
Good evening. Oh, perfect. Thank you. So what we were asked to do on this phase of the study was to, oh, which one is it? This one? That changes that. Am I changing it or is he changing it? There we go. Thank you. The purpose of the project was to review the duties being performed by select positions within select classifications and determine if the classifications and the job descriptions are accurate, appropriate based on the duties that were being performed at the time of the study. We looked at 11 positions within 10 classifications. Those classifications included the board clerk, the controller, the health and fitness program manager, the human resources analyst, the human resources manager, the human resources specialist, the logistics manager, the payroll analyst, the payroll supervisor, the procurement specialist, and the senior staff administrative coordinator / fire chief secretary. Each of the incumbents completed a questionnaire that was very detailed, that gathered information about what their responsibilities are, the requirements to perform those duties, and then I interviewed each of the employees to gain some additional information. What we've recommended is that for the board clerk, the title remain as it is. However, the job description has been updated. For the health and fitness program manager, I've recommended that the title be changed to health and wellness program manager, and the job description has been updated accordingly. For human resources analyst and human resources specialist, I've recommended that those classifications be collapsed into an entry and a journey level human resources analyst. So it'll be a 1 and a 2. And those that job description has been updated as well. The human resources manager has been updated. The logistics manager, I've recommended that the title for the classification be changed to the logistics and procurement manager, and the job description has been updated. And then for payroll analyst and payroll supervisor, it was an update to the job description. Procurement specialist, we revised the job description. The individual position that's in that classification, I've recommended to be reallocated to the purchasing agent classification, and that job description has also been updated. Those two job descriptions were very similar, almost identical, and a chunk of what the incumbent is doing wasn't represented by either, and was actually at a higher level, which is why I recommended the purchasing agent. And then the senior staff administrative coordinator, fire chief secretary, we recommended that the title be changed to executive assistant to the fire chief, and the job description has been updated. Based on the revisions to the classifications, we did have to go back to the survey agencies and update some of the compensation study information because the job descriptions changed enough that what we matched for the other agencies, we wanted to make sure that it was still accurate because we use those job descriptions to compare to those other entities to collect salary and benefit data for like jobs. We did go back on the controller because we recommended that the title be changed to finance manager, and the duties, controller is typically an accounting focused scope of work. The duties expand beyond accounting, and so we went back and we updated the market data to reflect that. We also went back for the health and fitness program manager, which is now the health and wellness program manager, the logistics manager, because that changed to include procurement. We had to go back to the market. And then we also looked at the market again for payroll analyst, payroll supervisor, the purchasing agent, and the senior staff administrative coordinator, fire chief secretary. As a result of that, we did have some changes in the market position. Some of the classifications did not change significantly. Others changed anywhere from the percentage that they were above or behind market. It could have been a change from anywhere from 5% all the way up to 20% shift in the market based on us updating those job descriptions and making sure that we were collecting accurate information. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might
There
have.
was no slide for that.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions?
Yes, I have some questions.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, my first question is, why were only 11 people? We have many more than that in our support staff. Why only 11 were selected?
The reason why we selected those is because when we looked at the data, we took anything that was more than 5% less on the salary survey and wanted to address those first before we move forward with any others. Also, there were requests that came in over the course of 2 years, and because of the current contract language that had the Me Too clause, we could not address any of those issues at that time. And so therefore, that's why we took those 11 currently that we're looking at first before any others. I think what the data will show that is the over 90 or 95% of those that we looked at are well above market value. So these were on the high end, more than 5% below market value.
So are we going to look at the rest of the staff?
So
Any further?
So one of the things that we discussed was if you're plus or minus 5, currently, we were going to go status quo. And the ones that were more than 5% less on the equity, we're going to address those. And then as we go through our next round of negotiations, we could do another study at that time.
Okay, so another concern and reason why we asked for this survey was, are any of our staff being overworked? Do we need to hire more help? And does this survey answer that question?
So this survey addressed the financial piece as well as classification. It did not address what the ratio is. And what we rely on is our managers that manage each of their divisions each budget year to request more people if they need it. And at that time, we try to work it into the budget. I think just to follow up on that, because we're working on a standard of coverage right now. Some of that will be addressed. I spoke with Jeff Fry, and the last one we did several years ago actually gave us data that said we didn't need that.
I'm sorry, we didn't need what?
To add additional people in different divisions that have been brought up, just based on how big we are. For instance, represented positions, do we need more represented or unrepresented in finance or in fleet? That right there came from the standard of covers that Jeff Fry did, and the data that we currently have suggests that we don't need more people
Okay.
in certain fields.
So one of the things I've always been confused about is we have represented and unrepresented in our support staff. How did that come about? And why is it that way?
So there are some positions that would fall into unrepresented, and it's based on what they have access to, meaning more personal data that's protected. And those job classifications are what would be unrepresented positions. And labor represents the rest. That makes sense.
So you're saying if they have access to personnel records that they are considered like management,
They are, yeah, exactly.
and so they don't need union representation?
Well, I'm not saying that. I think everyone under our EER that we're working on has the ability to be represented. However, there are certain positions that are earmarked as unrepresented positions based on what they have access to. And that's under the California, I believe, government code. I'd have to look that up because I don't have it memorized.
This concerns me, that I think all of our workers should be represented.
In California, all employees have the ability to unionize. And there's a process for that.
Thank you.
Director Weber, you had your hand up? Oh, I'm,
To kind of dovetail on Director Saylor's, at this point, so we've done several contracts, both represented, unrepresented. Now, this report with no action required on other professional staff. Are there other staff members out there that have not had either a classification or a salary survey done? Do we still have any employees out that are not covered by a contractual agreement that is up to date?
We do not. So we did all of local 522s. All 4 of the contracts were completed. So represented have been, they're under the 2-year contract. And now that we are looking at the unrepresented, they did get pay raises that were equal to what local 522 members just received. But this is ongoing from the last negotiations. There's no government code that allows us to talk about it in closed session at this time. That's why we're bringing it to you in open session. But through the process of mid-year budget, we're gonna see what we can accomplish to get people where they need to be in respective positions.
Approximately how many members is that? Or what how many people are you, or,
There's 11 positions.
okay. And then Chief Bailey, you did, I heard you mention the Metro 14.
Mhm.
Do we apply the same look that I know we use it in the 522 contract? Do we use the same criteria when we compare other positions, when we can do like for like? Do we use Metro 14 as our comparison?
This is the first time we've ever looked at unrepresented classifications and pay. Typically, 522 negotiates a contract, and under the board resolution, unrepresented, we get the same amount of money equal to what 522 gets. Meaning if they got a 5% pay raise, everyone else just get the same across the board. The request came in to look at the salaries for unrepresented as well as job classifications. So we did that, and there are 11 positions that need to be adjusted, both based on what job they actually do and how much money they're getting paid compared to the Metro 14 agencies.
Okay, so make sure that I understand it. There's at least 11 positions or 11 people that we're still looking at, and there's not an anticipated adjustment until a mid-year budget. Did I understand that right?
If there was going to be an adjustment for the 11 positions, it'll be during the mid-year budget.
Okay.
And that'll be something myself, fire chief, and executive staff will work through as we go through mid-year budget with Dave O'Toole and finance.
And one last question. I'm trying to keep up, so if I missed it or I'm asking you to be remedial, my apologies. Are these 11 people the only members that have not received a salary adjustment? And if that is the case, why? And if it's not, please let me know why.
Everyone, including those 11 positions, received 5%, which
Okay.
was the same amount of money that 522.
So what we believe they're under market. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so for instance, there were positions that were 20% below market. They got the 5%, and that's what Shelley Anderson was referring to. Then she went back based on their job description, classification, and the 5% being added in. Where do they fall now in the Metro 14? And so now we have those new numbers.
Okay, but at mid-year, we're going to take another look at this. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're currently taking another look at it, as well as we want to have time to meet with our managers to give them the information and share with the unrepresented employees where they fall on the Metro 14. But first, we wanted to come and present it to the board.
Okay,
And if you have additional questions, I'd be happy to meet with you individually and go through all of those wage comps that we currently have.
great. I think for me, I'll follow up with you. I would just be curious on a timeline, and is there going to be action there?
So right now, we're looking at March would
Okay,
be the timeline.
thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Sorry, I
President.
have a question.
Director Costa.
I wanted to go back to the previous question about workload. So I just want to make sure I can capture it correctly. So we rely on our managers
Mhm.
on an annual basis to provide you and the chief with what the needs are. And then we also look at, was it coverage? What did you call it?
So the standard of coverage also can assist us with different divisions, not necessarily finance, but for instance, fleet. Do we need more mechanics based on geographical area, how many apparatus we have, how much we contract out versus how much we do in-house? All those come into play when you look at a standard of coverage.
Okay.
But we heavily rely on our managers. We also, if it's a represented position, those would have to be negotiated because obviously there's a wage
Mhm.
that's going to increase or have a constant staffing effect. So that would also need to be a labor thing that we'd have to go through as well. But yeah, we're always looking to be more efficient as well as decrease workload. And if we can afford it, then I think obviously I'm an advocate for that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yeah, Director Wu, go ahead.
Chief, thanks for all of this background on this particular and very important study and survey, I think. I would just hope that the timeline's short enough to where when we get to mid-year budget adjustments, we're ready to pull the trigger and not wait another 4 or 5 or 6 months for these people to have to wait to be made whole. My concern is when you publicly say that we've got people that are underpaid, that opens up the door for a lot of other places to come look at our experts and go, how about you just walk across over to here? Right? And so I hope that we're ready to go with our budget and we're ready to make some financial decisions in that timeline so that we don't wait much longer to make this happen for these people, because we've clearly identified that it's a weakness of the organization. And I'd hate to see institutional knowledge leave here because we're not acting fast enough. So I hear the march, that's going to come pretty quick. And I hope that that means that by the time we hit mid-year budget adjustments, that's been factored in and we're ready to go.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm looking for the board support as we move forward with this
Excellent.
process.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Director Jones?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to reflect that it was summer of 2021 when members, our employees met in this very room and initiated this discussion about whether perceived or real disparities amongst the staff here, both sworn, non-sworn, represented, unrepresented. So this ask has been around since the summer of 2021. I appreciate the focus on the salaries for these different positions. But another huge aspect of this that we all do need to address is the workload that Director Costa mentioned. That is huge. And to say that, oh, we're just going to, well, it is important for the managers to put this forward. But different personalities, different perspectives, positions within the organization might make some spokespeople stronger than others. And yet the need is still very real on many different levels. I personally, I'm looking at EMS, HR, and whatever else that we need to plan for the new stations that we have in line to build. We need to anticipate administrative and staff support for this expansion that's coming, in particular with the city of Rancho Cordova and East Sac County. We need to get ahead of the game. My sense is that our staff, it's like a rubber band. Our staff is already out to the max, to the limit. I appreciate that incredibly hard work that everyone is doing. We need to help loosen the tension on that rubber band. And that's done by adding additional people where needed. And I would encourage all of us, I think the best format might be just a workshop to be able to ask questions and have a discussion about these different needs. And again, please bear with my tone of voice. This conversation started almost a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. So I really want to see some movement on this, some constructive movement with salaries and what would be the word? We need to fill out our employees. To have 2 people struggling doing the work of 4 or 3 people struggling to do the work of 4, something like this, it's just nuts. Not every day, everyone can't be here every day. There's vacation, there's sick leave. We need enough bench to keep the district above water and moving forward. Sorry for that analogy. But we need to have a good, strong bench so we can keep this up. So if something happens to one person, it's not a person-dependent job. It's our organization can handle that. It's not personality-driven, it's organizational and functionally driven. Let's please all keep that in mind when we plan for mid-year review and or we plan for a strategic planning meeting. This is what we as a board, we really need to focus on this. I encourage my fellow directors, senior staff, and all of our employees. Be honest, be forthright, and let's work together to figure out where our needs actually are. Totally agree with that, Chief Bailey. We need to find out where those needs really are without in a very straightforward, honest, and professional way, and I have faith that we can do that. Mr. President?
Thank you, Director. Any other questions? Having no further questions, thank you, Chief Bailey, for your answers, and to Ms. Anderson for her presentation.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you.
All right. Next, we go on to Community Services Update, and that would be Captain Wilborn, our PIO, Public Information Officer.
Good evening, board members, president, fire chief Haverty, Melissa, and Art. Art doesn't ever get acknowledged, but I'm sure he's every week, and he does an absolute phenomenal job. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Art, for being here. I wanted to come before you to give you an idea of where we have come since I've taken this position and since we've restructured, and where I'd like to see us going. Our Metro Fire does an incredible amount of stuff. It has nothing to do with just myself, our division, but it's everybody working together on the collaborative to get the job done. And I really wanted to give some thanks to my division, show you what we're doing, and bring some awareness. So I'll move forward. Let's see if I can find the word. So first of all, meet our team. So we restructured about 6 months ago. It was initially, you talked about being stretched. This division, community relations, was a team of two. It was myself and Chris Dargan, who's since moved on. We had 2 community relations specialists in community risk reduction. So we were able to do their job classifications, bring them back over, and now we have a team of currently 3 of us, and we have a 4th in background. So it's myself as the manager, an all-star in Brenda Briggs. She's our coordinator. She's basically handling everything, making sure everything goes smoothly. Allison Mayhew is our new community relations specialist, and she may or may not be here tonight. We'll see. And we have another in backgrounds. So 2022, just a recap of what exactly happened. We're open again. We were not open for a majority of the year, but we have done some significant things. As you can see, we visited a number of schools, reached out to a number of kids, had 19 firehouse tours and 52 special events. That's great. We can do more. Some of those special events and promotions. Well, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Flair, our new mascot. So we do have a new mascot.
Oh, there's
So we're in
Flair.
a social media campaign and live on Good Day Sacramento. What you've been seeing around the country already. She was on Good Day Sacramento, and we initially did the campaign of what are we going to name our new mascot. We got a number of different
Oh, you get little
names.
hats.
We ended up going with Flair and did a follow-up with Good Day Sacramento as well. We've also redone our swag. So notice we do have new kids helmets. We also have new stickers. Now, the intent of that
Hi,
is
Flair.
when we hand these things out,
Oh, wow.
when we hand these things
President, I
out, I
just-
want it to look like the stuff that we wear. And beforehand, it just wasn't. So the new sticker badges we have, they look identical to the firefighter
Oh.
badge. Your helmet looks like, almost like my helmet. So we're just kind of upgrading all of our swag. A couple other things, Rancho Cordova Star Program, we're a big part of that this year. We've really close ties in with the city of Rancho Cordova. The Star Program, I don't know if you're aware of it, but it happens around the Christmas time. And these are kids that the school districts reached out and said, hey, you know, we've got kids that are in economically depressed or problem zones, and these kids are thriving regardless. And so we gave them a $100 gift card. We walked them through. They got teamed up with either Rancho Cordova PD or Metro Fire personnel, and we walked through Target,
Can't be good.
and they gave the kids $100 worth of just stuff to just say, hey, keep it up, right? Cancer awareness engine. When I first came in, we were basically footing the bill for the cancer awareness wrap with the local 522. We took a collaborative approach and said, you know, this is good for not only us, it's also good for our community. Let's get more people involved. And we got the whole wrap basically covered by the city of Rancho Cordova, the Sacramento Kings, the Republic FC, 522 stepped up again, the association, and the wrap was about $4,500. So the last two wraps on our engine have been covered by promotions, and which is a good thing for us to collaborate. We're still hitting the trunk or treats, the tree lightings, the fill the boots. I'll tell you a little story about the Christmas caroling this year at the Firefighter Burn Institute. We had 41 engine arrived on a structure fire. They pulled a female out. They took the female to UC Davis with major burns. They were already slotted to go to the burn center and sing Christmas carols. Well, they went there and they sang her Christmas carols that morning. So it's just being there for our community, even in those harsh moments. That's what we do. And that's what it's been our mission to showcase what we do. Lowe's National First Responder Event, we got in contact. Lowe's reached out. They said, we want to give you $50,000 in stuff that your fire stations can use to go benefit the community. We met with them at our logistics. They sent truckloads over and dumped it all out in front. We did a cool media event there. And we just recently won a Fireworks Safety PRSA, the Public Relations Society of America Award, along with our partners at the City of Rancho Cordova for a fireworks safety social media campaign. So the 2020 strategic plan, I was not aware of this when I took the position, but this is important to you folks and it's important to us. So there is a section in there under external engagement. I want to go through that of how we're meeting your objectives. The first one, 1A, improve Metro Fire's visibility. I think we've done that in the last year and a half. Enhance partners' awareness, Metro Fire's contributions at the federal, state, and local levels. Our community events, we've already gone through those. Our website's been updated. Art was a big help with that, and Brenda Briggs has crushed it. Getting that done for us. It's a user-friendly platform, and it's now ADA compliant, so it reduces our risk from folks. There is certain individuals out there that are targeting governmental agency websites for not being ADA compliant. So ours is now compliant. It's a living document. It's going to change, and we do need to continue to make adjustments, but we are doing good things. More improved visibility, our increase on social media and traditional media presence. So we've taken a proactive approach with both. We really do try, again, is showcase what we do every day. The men and women that come here, that sweat, that pour out into this community. I want everybody to see that. I want it not only for the community, I want it for them to take pride in what they do. I want their families to see it, to see exactly what they're doing every day. It's important. So that's a passion of mine. That's why I took this role, so I can do that. Monthly stats, talk about transparency. So every month we are putting up our monthly call stats. We're one of the few agencies nationwide that does that. So we put total calls up, how many fires we're going to, structure fires, car fires, vehicle accidents, EMS calls, and whatever else, it's all on there. We're also utilizing our social media platforms to highlight our folks. We have a Member Monday segment, and that basically designates one person. We try and do a couple a month where we just highlight that person and the cool attributes they have, and maybe that's going to target somebody in our community that wants to be a firefighter someday, and it makes them relatable. We're all human. It brings out that humanistic approach and tells their story. Behind the badge, everybody out here on professional staff does an amazing job, and so the behind the badge, we really want to showcase that, and we're going to be ramping up. We've done several divisions already where we just showcase what they do. So a lot of people don't know that we have a fleet division. A lot of people don't know that we have our own human resources, so we're bringing that out. Firehouse Friday, we were shut down for almost 2 years. We couldn't have fire station tours. So we are doing virtual tours online. There's a struggle with that. And we do try and adjust the layout a little bit so that people can't necessarily memorize our fire stations. But the main objective is just to showcase where our folks are operating out of and the conditions that they're operating in. And they take pride in their station. We want to showcase that too. And there's safety tips in there as well. The biggest thing, though, is we get a lot of community feedback. So we get a lot of questions on there. We're able to answer that and have dialogue with the community. So it's kind of a loop, so to speak. And then obviously highlighting partnering organizations. Continuing on communication strategies. We are in the process of building out a crisis communications platform that mirrors up with the emergency operations plan. There's 16 annexes in that plan, and this crisis communications plan mirrors it. It's a very easy to use checklist. So if I'm out, fire chief's out, somebody else, we just need to, hey, you guys got to go manage the media. We can take that document, give it to anybody, and basically run through it and be able to manage that communications platform. We've also convened an internal core group. So anybody in our division, any divisions that have an external engagement, we're coming together and we're meeting so that we have a unified message. If there's things that need to get put out on social media or we need to get sent out through community risk reduction or EMS or whatever, then we're able to do that. And then obviously merging our list of federal, state, and local organizations so that we're going to those, the chamber meetings or legislative meetings or whatever we need to do based on our 12-month calendar. Going into strategic media relations, that's 2A. We take a proactive approach. A lot of our agencies don't. They're very reactive. When something bad happens, that's the only time they contact the media. Well, I contact them all the time. I have great working relationships with them. As you can see, there's a number of examples of the things that we've done to really highlight things. And some of these particular topics have gone worldwide. I got a call from the London Fire Brigade about our Tesla that caught on fire in Rancho Cordova. I just did 2 segments in the last 2 days on people experiencing homelessness and showcasing how that's affecting first responders and our ability to deliver service. We've had a couple fatal fires recently, so showcasing that. Obviously, the devastating weather storms, you've probably seen those out. So we've got worldwide coverage. And this is one of the things that I'm most proud of working with Brenda is our digital education system. So what we're trying to do is figure out modern solutions for us not being able to, you talk about being on shoestrings and not being able to handle all the schools or all of the things that we need to do. I want to hit every student in our community, whether in homeschool, charter school, public school, private school, after school daycare program, all of these, what our platform is going to be available to every student in our district. We've never been able to do that. And I don't know any district that has been able to do that. So the digital platform allows teachers to present their info on their time. It's available to everybody. We got a $50,000 grant. We had $50,000 left over in a grant. We're trying to figure out what to do with it. And Brenda took the bull by the horns and reached out. We got a local company, Legion Productions, right off of Old Placerville Road, a stone throw away. They did everything Netflix quality segments that are available on our website, along with take-home workbook pages. And that launches in February. It's up there right now if you want to go ahead and take a look at that, but we're still getting stuff in there. So there's obviously the incentive for the teacher. They can schedule an engine afterwards. If we want to come over, let the kids squirt hose, give them the cool swag that you received tonight, do all those things. It's nice because then the main thing is the consistent messaging and taking the stress off the firefighters from having to give those presentations. And obviously opportunities to educate parents through the take-home activities through their kids. Fire Camp is one of our biggest community outreach programs. We had it this year again. It's 48 kids, 11 to 13 years old. I'm going to put a video up there so you guys can watch it, and I promise I'll wrap this thing up. Sorry, That was
great.
that was it. So, a couple more things. I'm trying to talk fast because I know you guys, AT took too long.
You're good.
Doing just fine.
So, and then finally, career awareness. So assisting our awesome recruiter, Tim, with recruitment, anything that he needs, promoting Del Campo, promoting things on social media. We're going to be looking at doing the every 15 minutes DUI prevention. Next year, we've done that in the past and we want to continue doing that. But again, COVID's kind of thrown curveballs. And then keeping that instructional curriculum accessible by all teachers on MetroCard's website. Here's some of the collaboration that we've done just throughout the last year or so. And again, outreach is a coordinated team effort internally between all of our divisions. Everybody has a part to play in it. It's just nice that community relations gets to be that conduit. And with that, let's go 2023. What do you got?
We have any questions? Director Weber.
It's an amazing process to watch in just a short 10-year period. The increase in training and equipment and people. Again, coming from a dinosaur, I thought we were the bee's knees. We absolutely couldn't get any better, no way in hell. But every time I go out to a station or see somebody on the streets, I thank them for what they're doing and acknowledge their efforts. But one thing still hasn't changed from at least my day and today. Every one of the folks, including day folks and everybody in every division, we're just doing our jobs. So I thank all of you for just doing your jobs, and especially yourself. It is so refreshing to see such a passionate individual doing just your job, but also obviously what you love. And hats off to your incredible team. I had an opportunity to work with some of these folks when I was here. And again, you couldn't have held a candle to me then, but you are smashing me now. So good for you.
Again,
That's all.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none? What? Oh,
Captain Wilbur, I was going to have a comment at the end, but I'll just get it now. I just wanted to say thanks. Everything you've got in here is absolutely amazing. I love Fire Camp. I think it's a wonderful program. I tell Brenda that all the time. I brag about it to everyone I know. The fact that we've got several of our current members that went through that program over the years is a testament to the success of that program. And I think it's wonderful. I love getting out on the Fridays and helping cook the dinners on the competition. I think that Delman and I have done a few years of those. And
oh yeah.
look forward to that. Hopefully
I look
can
forward
get
to
it
it
on
every
schedule
year.
this year.
Yep.
But so thank you for bringing that to the attention. You did a great video. Also, just the work you did the last few weeks on the fire smoke detector blitz. You and your team are amazing, and everyone that was out there over the last couple of weeks. This last weekend, being out with Engine 42 and you guys out in North Highlands. Everyone, just the interaction you and our members have with the community to get them engaged and get them responding is wonderful. And everyone I've seen, we've left very positive reactions, very positive impacts on those people. So thanks for all that you've done, and your team too.
And just to touch on Fire Camp one more time, we've actually had lives saved because of that program we had. And Brenda would know the story better than I do, but we had a couple campers that actually ended up doing CPR or the Heimlich and one and saved his dad's life.
We had one camper who was at a birthday party, and then she started CPR, and somebody was falling off the pool. And then we've had 3 or 4 campers become firefighters here at Metro, and a lot of
So huge success.
I think we might have had a life-saving commendation here from one of them. Yeah, that showed up here. So it was great.
Sorry, I got a quick question.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
there.
Go ahead, Victor.
Great presentation. What do you need from the board? How can we help you?
What do we need, Brenda? I was talking fast because I kind of did a mock one. It was 20 minutes. So I got they're not going to hear us. So I had to speed.
Well, we need your continued support. Obviously, Fire Camp, you guys are one of our biggest advocates, and for Fire Camp, we appreciate that. And let me just just mentioned that there's somebody else in here who's had a huge impact on fire camp, and that was Chief Haverty. He was one of the people who developed it.
Yeah, that's right, the founding father. Right there. I'm a temporary position, and that's why I've told Brenda from the start when I brought her back over from CRD and promoted her to coordinator. You are the continuum. You're really the glue that holds this whole thing together. You're going to get PIOs that come in and go, but fortunately, she does an outstanding job. So,
Well, I would just say, please don't hesitate. If either one of you, I mean, we're here to support, so please reach out and ask us if you need something.
is there anything that you folks want to see that you're not seeing, or just real quick? And I'm not trying to steal the show, please, but is there anything that
Great presentation. It's great.
We'll talk offline. They're things. They're good things.
All right,
Got your number though.
having no further questions or comments, Captain Wilburn, thank you for a great presentation. We appreciate you. Next item on the agenda, we're going to action items, and we're going to deal with the ratification of resolution to extend teleconference of board meetings, government code 54953E3. And the recommendation is to consider adoption of a resolution which would extend the ability to teleconference without compliance of government code, paragraph 3, subdivision B of section 54953 from January 26, 2023 through February 24, 2023, or until further ratified. Do we have any questions?
President, I make a motion that we accept this.
Motion by Director Sailors. Do we have a second? Second by Director Rice. Board Clerk, please call the roll.
Director Sailors. Aye. Weber.
Aye.
Sheets. Aye. Gould.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Costa.
Aye.
And Clark.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next we go to reports. President's report. I would like to thank the directors that who will be attending Cap to Cap in Washington, DC this April, and the following directors are going to attend is Jones, Director Sheets, Director Weber, and myself. With that, we move on to the that's all I have from President report. We move on to Fire Chief's report. Chief Haverty.
Thank you, President Clark, honorable board members, members of the public, and dear staff. I'd like to start out with some reassignments. So congratulations to Captain Jeremy Crawford for being selected to fill the EMS Day Captain assignment that will be effective, was effective the 23rd of this month. And Captain Ryan McMahon has been reassigned from the EMS Day Captain position to suppression. That's effective the 6th of February, and we would all like to thank him for his dedication and commitment while working in our EMS division. We have some recruitment opportunities, career development opportunity for emergency planning and safety battalion chief day assignments and internal only. Final filing is the 3rd of February. A logistics technician, final filing is the 30th of this month. Accounting specialist is both an internal and an external recruitment. Final filing is the 10th of February. I have an office technician, also internal and external recruitment. Final filing is also the 10th of February. And finally, a facilities technician, which is only an internal recruitment. Final filing is the 13th of February. The items that I have for us this evening, I'd like to start out with on the evening Friday, January 13th, just a couple weeks ago. Assistant Chief Jenkins and I had the honor of receiving the 2022 Firefighter of the Year Award from the Citrus Heights Chamber of Commerce on behalf of Engineer Tyler Williamson. Engineer Williamson was unfortunately not able to attend the awards banquet because, unbelievably, he was part of a search party on Donner Pass for some folks who had gotten lost on the mountain. That search ended successfully, thank God. We're very proud of Tyler for his work and his dedication to the people he serves. And I'm tentatively scheduled to present this award to him on February 3rd at Station 109. So if any of you would like to join me in that, you're certainly welcome to do so. We'll get a time that's convenient for the company and the battalion chief. And I'd like to publicly thank our department membership for welcoming Congressman Kevin Kiley last Friday at Fire Station 32 on Hazel and Fair Oaks. Really, the congressman was truly interested in our department's operations, its multitude of emergency capabilities, and our recent response to these winter storms that wreaked havoc not only in our region but across the state. Mr. Kiley was particularly interested in viewing the flood rescue boats, the swift water rescue boats, and our air operations, the helicopter. And our personnel provided not only informative briefings, they provided some personal stories that I think captured the congressman's attention. I'd like to personally thank Kyle McDonald, Jeff Fry, the deputy chiefs Mitchell and Bailey, Assistant Chief Jenkins again, Battalion Chief Russell, the crews from 32s and 65s in our Air Operations Division for being there, being very attentive to him and answering all of his questions. And then I was pleased to welcome Director Sailors and Weber also, who participated in the congressman's event. Thank you for that. I'd like to thank our HR division and Deputy Chief Bailey for continuing to listen to you and continually to listen to our membership and working to provide some improved services for those of our membership who suffer workers' compensation injuries. They've recently drafted a very useful flow chart, which is being used to identify where we have some direct influence, indirect influence on the workers' process, and where law, at least today, prevents us from much intervention at all. We have established some performance objectives, some of those based on your comments at your last board meeting. They'll be included in our third-party administrator RFP, as well as our proposed contractual language for the course of the contract for our next provider. And lastly, the HR division is going to be working with Captain Cahill to develop a series of short podcasts and videos, which will be available to our members and also their caregivers on how to better understand and navigate the workers' compensation process. And those will be available either on a website or YouTube kind of videos, so that if you're at home and you're just kind of stuck on a particular set of place in the process, you have somebody to at least listen to, a face or a voice to help guide you through some of the more difficult areas. These are just some ways that we are listening, that HR is listening on recommendations to aid our membership in this area. I'd like to thank Captain Wilborn, if he's still here. He's still in the back there. Thanks, guy. And his team for community relations for coordinating our smoke alarm blitz in North Highlands and Rio Linda last Saturday. Tremendous support from our CERT team, from Red Cross, from our station crews, including Truck 23, Engine 42, Truck 26, Engine 111, Medic 111, and BC's house, I think, is in the room here today, and Battalion Chief Reed, as well as Assistant Chief Eureka. They installed 1999 smoke detectors, smoke alarms, and handed out numerous others to the neighborhoods surrounding the loss of life fires that happened in those particular communities. I'd also like to thank our board members, Clark, Sailors, and Woods, for walking the streets with us. Thank you so much for that. Since our last board meeting, I've had a chance to do some outreach and meet with some of our allied partners, including Elizabeth Basnick, Director of Cali IMSA, our Citrus Heights City Manager, Ash Feeney, his police chief, Alex Turquette, our defense counsel, Bruce Street, Chief Kenny Pratt of Sac County Airports, Chief Felipe Rodriguez of Casumas just this morning. Tomorrow morning, I'll meet with Chief Ken Casano of Folsom. Next, we're introducing and initiating a multidisciplinary team to work on PPGEMT, the Public Provider Ground Emergency Medical Transport. And the purpose of doing this in this particular way is to develop our own in-house expertise in the areas of finance, interagency relations, labor impacts, and our own operations. And the first meeting of that team will be the week of February 5th, week after next. Last Wednesday, I had the honor of welcoming our 14 recruits on day 2 of their fire academy. And as I was reflecting on what I wanted to say to them, I reflected back on my own entry into the fire service, which was 1983. And as I looked at my audience, I realized they were a long ways from being just 40 years old. So, but it was a pleasure to meet with them and talk to them about the values of the fire service and what it means to belong to the movement. I look forward to graduation. That completes my report. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for the chief on his report? All right, next we move on to the operations report, and that would be Deputy Chief Mitchell.
Good evening, President Clark. Thank you. Good evening, Board
Good
Directors.
evening.
Glad to see you all here in person tonight. I'd like to take this opportunity actually tonight on my operations report to yield my time to somebody you know well, PC Scott Perryman, who is currently helping us out as the acting director of EMS while Chief Rednicki is out recovering from a medical procedure. So I'm going to bring him up along with one of our newest members to the organization to highlight what he will do as our CQI manager. You heard the recruitment for the battalion chief that will be repurposed to emergency planning and safety to help us identify and address some of those items. But bringing on board Adam is going to help us move forward in CQI. So without further ado, Chief Perryman, come on up and take the podium. Thanks.
Thank you very much. It's great to see you all tonight. The EMS division is thriving. We have some great people that are coming into the division. We have some people who have been in the division are now going to take it back into the field and share with what they've learned. We have some great movement because we have some great people coming in, but also it's kind of like one of those teasers. We want to tell you a little bit about some things that are going to be coming up. We're going to tell you about some of the successes that we've had. And one of those successes is about mobile integrated health. We had that year pilot. In that year pilot, we saw a reduction in the high 911 utilizers that we dealt with by 43%. We're able to deal with the 911 low acuity incidents. We saw a reduction by 85% in those individuals where we were able to treat them and release them on scene without them going into the emergency room. We saved over $1 million in that period. And there's some more tidbits to come when we see you in the near future, but I'm also really excited to share with you what else is coming. And that is our new CQI manager.
Good evening. My name's Adam Blitz, and thank you for having me. I am just a little about me as I moved to Sacramento in 1990 from Washington, D.C. And that's when I got into EMS. I started at Foothill Ambulance way back then. As a matter of fact, the first time I ever laid eyes on Dr. Gould, I don't know if you remember this, but you were coming in with lungs and a heart from a cow. To teach innovation. That was amazing. But I had a great street career, 20 years as a paramedic with Foothill, Sacramento Westport that became AMR. And I really loved being an allied agency with Metro Fire. The vast majority of my career and the calls I ran were with the brave men and women of Metro Fire. And I even got to live in some of those firehouses during the American River days. I went on after 20 years into clinical oversight, and I've helped start the AMR partnership with DC Fire back east. But most of my clinical career was also here. So 98% of my career has been in the SAC EMS region. So I have coming here, I got to see a lot of faces that were familiar, people that mentored me, people that I came up with, and people that I oversaw at AMR. So I'm really excited to dive into the data. That's something CQI people are nerdy about. I'm really excited about the initiatives. The MIH is very intriguing to me. The investment you all make into just being a great agency, for instance, the Lucas devices and CodeStat and things that I haven't had the opportunity to work with before. The investment everybody's putting into me it's overwhelming to me. I'm excited to be here, and if you ever have any questions, I hope you'll feel free to call on me. And I think with that, I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you. Thanks for voting on my position.
Unless there's any questions, that'll do it for operations.
Yeah, do we have any questions for Chief?
Chief Mitchell, for Chief Perryman, what is for the mobile integrated health unit, do we have an annual budget line, and if so, what is it?
So, and he can speak to it robustly, Director Rice, but it is currently under a grant funding That is, and I can't recall the number, exact 1.1 million for the allied agencies and the hospital council. We've extended that past the 12 months initially, just based off of some cost savings we've recognized to continue that out through the first part of this year. And I know I don't want to steal too many of his tidbits. There's some good news here coming shortly to publicly announce, we hope, with an extension through some additional funding sources for that.
I'll wait for you to bring it up, but I
don't wanna
will
give
say,
too much away.
I will say this is the way of the future. This is the next level of service to deliver not only the appropriate care, but hopefully being able to deliver patients to the most appropriate facility. So you have one at least vote on this board 100% of the time. I think this is going to be one of the most important things that we do for the residents of the district. Our EMS system is incredibly taxed, and the members, the men and women that serve in it, they do everything from counselor to hands-on paramedic and EMT. So keep it up. I hope we see this program expand. And Scott, I really want to hear what's coming up. So thank you.
Appreciate that, Director Russ. We look forward to bringing a number of initiatives that change the way we deliver that service to our community, provide that value here in the near future.
My day job, I've got coming up to the Hayward Fire Department. The city of Hayward has a really robust program. And then I also will do a second day in the city and county of San Francisco with the San Francisco Fire Department's program. Let's chat kind of offline. This is such a critical piece of service for the men and women in the field and for the communities that we serve. So I'm really happy about how immersed we are here.
Thank you.
Director Wood.
I just want to say, and I want to make sure everybody understands and recognizes the amount of Chief Perryman's career that has been devoted to this issue. I was with you back in DC and cap to cap when you were advocating for this program back in 2016 and 15. And I know that wasn't the first time you were involved in the issue. So I just want to recognize you for the time and commitment. It's been almost a decade that this has been, at least, if not in your mind, on your plate, your day-to-day. And thank you for everything that you've done.
Do we have any other questions? I haven't seen none. Thank you, Chief, for that great report. Next, we have the administrative report, and that would be Deputy Chief Bailey.
Good evening, Board of Directors.
Good evening.
Board President Ty Bailey, Deputy Chief of the Administration. I wasn't able to make the last board meeting. I was having a medical procedure. So I just want to introduce myself and what divisions I currently oversee. I have oversight of IT, finance, governmental affairs, recruitment, economic development, and human resources. It's my honor tonight. I'd like to introduce to you Melissa Maddox, our HR manager. We hit the ground running from the beginning of the year, from all the work they had to get done on the MOU, working with the finance team and so on. And I want her to report to you tonight everything that we're doing in our HR division to help our members and ultimately the service delivery to our communities. Thank you.
Good evening, directors, Chief Haverty, Board Clerk Tania, and Art. I'm Melissa Maddox, the HR manager for Metro Fire. I've been with the district for almost 16 years in May. I was promoted to HR manager in 2011, so I've always been in HR my whole career with Metro Fire. The Human Resources Division is responsible for recruitment, employee onboarding, including background investigations, employee relations, policy and procedure development, employee benefits administration, absence management, workers' compensation administration, risk management, insurance and self-insurance, as well as any other projects or initiatives, data requests, any other stuff that comes in from other divisions. We will assist as needed. Tonight, I would also like to introduce you to the HR staff. I don't have a PowerPoint because they would never let me put their picture up there. So I will just introduce you by name. First, we have Alicia Melnichuk. She's the HR analyst. She's been with the district for 15 years. She was hired shortly after I was. Leslie Miller. They're not here. Well,
Oh.
Michelle's here. I wouldn't make them work at nighttime, but it's okay. Leslie Miller, she's also an HR analyst. She has 22 years of district service. And I did pass this by her approval, but a fun fact about Leslie is that her father is also a retired fire captain with Metro Fire. And she spent her first birthday at Old Station 32. So, and she has pictures of it. So it's really cute. We also have Candace Sarlis. She's our workers' comp coordinator. She has 8 years of district service. And Michelle Dehoney, who is here. You can stand up, Michelle. Michelle Dehoney, HR specialist, has 7 years of district service. And also we have Ali Zablowski is our administrative specialist. So she assists HR and Chief Bailey. And she has 4 years of district service. Leslie, Michelle, and Ali have all worked, especially Leslie, have all worked in other divisions within the district before they came to HR. So I think they bring a wide variety of experience and perspective within the district. So Chief Haverty stole a little bit of my thunder with recruitments, but currently HR obviously is very busy with recruitments right now due to promotions at the end of the year and then internal promotion or retirement, sorry, at the end of the year, and then internal promotions, which leads to backfill behind there. The HR staff works on the recruitments as a team. So we basically share the duties based on the capacity of our current workload. So it's kind of who can take office tech, who can take this. So we kind of juggle it around, but we all work together on them to make sure they get done. Our current recruitments that we're working on include EMT and paramedic for the MMP program, facilities tech, facilities manager, assistant fleet manager, fire investigator, fire inspector, supervising fire inspector, mechanic, office technician, accounting specialist, logistics tech, and promotional exams for captain and BC coming up in May and June, which are my personal favorite thing to do is promotional exams, especially engineer, but I don't know if we're doing one this year. I don't find out. Lastly, I would just like to tell you one of the reasons why I'm so proud of the HR division. We made it through COVID. When I woke up this morning, the first thing I heard on the news was, and I thought it was a sign, that today is the 3-year anniversary for the first reported case of COVID in Sacramento. So basically, as everybody, overnight, the world changed. We started working 100% remotely and had to rethink all of our HR processes. While some of our responsibilities came to a screeching halt, like recruitments, testing, interviews, everything just stopped. We needed to refocus our efforts on supporting the district and our suppression staff who were still out there on the front lines. We began navigating through all the new COVID leave laws and OSHA regulations, such as Senate Bill 95, Senate Bill 114, Assembly Bill 152, just to name a few. I was hoping Council Lava was here because I did want to thank him tonight for his support and our constant phone calls and emails over that time, discussing how to administer all these new rules and leave laws, because of course the Senate bills are exactly clear how they're supposed to be administered and what applies when, and it's really easy to navigate through. So during that time, our workers' comp claims tripled, and with the also adding in the other element of COVID testing and tracking, we had over 75,000 plus hours of leave time that was needed to be tracked and recorded, which required an enormous amount of coordination and communication with other divisions, with employees and other divisions in the sense of payroll and staffing. All that kind of had to be coordinated between all those divisions to make sure it was all recorded correctly in telestaff and payroll was getting done right and all that stuff. So we came together, HR came together as a team. We supported each other. We supported other divisions where needed. And like the rest of the world, we continued our work while taking care of our own illnesses, our own families, and homeschooling all of our children, which we all had children from young to school age, which was a whole nother experience in itself, an interesting challenge for sure. I believe that our HR division grew from this experience. We're a very tight-knit group and we care for each other, and we will always work as a team and not as individuals. I know we all serve the district and our employees with a tremendous amount of dedication in everything that we do. And we're very proud to work for Metro Fire, and I can speak for the whole team. With that, I would like to thank you for your time, for letting me just brag a little bit about HR, and Chief Bailey for giving me the opportunity, and Chief Haverty. With that, I don't have any other questions, or if you have any questions, if not.
Do we have any
very much.
questions? Director Weber.
It makes my head spin, which just you said about everything that you do, and I don't know if I got the numbers right, but you have 4 employees, including yourself, 5?
Me, 4 HR staff, and an administrative person, yes.
And again, just listening to that, it sounds like if you had double the staff, you still couldn't keep up with all of your responsibilities. Would that be fair?
I feel like we keep up, just maybe, we could always do better.
Okay. It's just-
Good answer.
You folks are doing it, time.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? Director Rice?
Melissa, just a comment. Thank you for the awareness on, I never really thought about, even though I knew it, the work that went through HR to get an organization through the pandemic. And then Chief Bailey, the question I have for you on this, I'm hoping you might have the answer. Did the County of Sacramento share any of the federal relief money with Metro Fire or any of the other special districts in the county? Do you know? Do we know?
I could refer to finance to get the exact number, but we were able to capture, I believe, $2.6 million.
Okay, thank you.
But we were not able to capture as much as obviously cost. I just want to say, I appreciate Melissa being here tonight and speaking to the board. I think coming from her, it's really heartfelt. I think what she forgot to add is she had a new deputy chief last year in January when I was promoted. And we negotiated 2 contracts in 12 months time. So it's just a tremendous amount of work. And I thank you and your staff for everything. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief Bailey and Ms. Maddox for highlighting the work that HR division does. It's wow. Like Director Weber said, it made my head spin too, the amount of work you guys do. So appreciate you. Finally, we have for Sports Services report, we have Deputy Chief Wagaman.
Good
There he
evening,
is.
President Clark, Board of Directors, Chief Haverty. My apologies. This too will go over 2 minutes tonight. We will do better moving forward. First, I'd like to dovetail on the fire chief's report as well as Captain Wilborn's report regarding the smoke detector blitz. I would like to thank the community risk reduction staff, Chief Law, and everybody who was involved in that amazing operation. Installing 99 smoke detectors, for those of you that haven't been out going door to door, that's incredibly hard to do, especially with the language barriers, people not wishing folks to be in their houses. That is a huge accomplishment. And I can only imagine how many lives are going to be saved because of that operation. And I hope it continues. As previously mentioned, I want to continue showcasing the support services branch. Tonight, we're going to be highlighting the logistics division. Logistics is broken really into 2 parts. We have the logistics in the warehouse, and they have purchasing and procurement. And as you can imagine, a district the size of us, we buy a lot of stuff. And purchasing is incredibly busy. And they make sure that we follow every single rule when we are purchasing things. An outstanding operation. Within the logistics division, there are a team of 11 folks that work there. They fill a total of 6 different positions, and they rotate to make sure that they stay fluent in those positions every 3 months. Every single day, they drive throughout our district. They go to headquarters, fleet, facilities, communications, training in every single firehouse. 180 miles a day, 900 miles every week. and 46,000 miles every single year just to make the connection between logistics and all the buildings that require all the equipment that's necessary for them to function day in and day out. That's over 200 to 1,000 items every single day. That's EMS supplies, custodial supplies, office supplies, and apparatus equipment. I don't really want to state this statistic because I don't want to jinx it. But over the last 20 years, there have been no traffic citations and no accidents with all that mileage, and I hope it continues. In addition to all that work, they also maintain our ladders to be compliant with NFPA 1932. We have 280 ladders that get tested every time they get dinged, banged, overloaded, whether it's brand new or new parts are put on it. There's a requirement that they get tested before they go into service, and logistics handles that function. That coupled with a huge, huge task of keeping our firefighters safe away from cancer-causing carcinogens. They launder our turnouts on an average of 15 sets every single day. That comes out to 3,900 sets of turnouts every single year. And for those of you that haven't washed turnouts, it's like trying to wash a large down comforter, right? It's almost impossible to wash and it takes forever to dry. So I could only imagine doing 3,900 sets of those every single year. That coupled with they keep all of our small machinery in working order. That's our chainsaws, our circulating saws and generators, lawnmowers, extrication equipment, all that stuff they do in-house. And for someone that knows a lot more about the division than I do, I would like to introduce to you the person that oversees this extensive operation. And it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you, and I love working alongside this gentleman, Mark Jones.
Hi, good evening, directors, Chief Haverty, Melissa, Art. Chief Hageman mentioned, my name is Mark Jones. I'm the logistics manager and interim purchasing agent for the district. I came into the logistics manager position following my initial hire as the warehouse supervisor back in 2005. My background before that was a small business owner and then a warehouse operations manager for an architectural molding company here in Sacramento. So I knew warehousing and logistics, but I did not know anything about the fire service. I decided to take a class at American River College in their fire technology program. It interested me, so I earned a fire degree in fire technology through American River. Around 2008, I was promoted to logistics manager and I had a hand in all of the purchases that the logistics was tasked to do. During this time, I learned about the concept of obtaining multiple quotes and competitive bidding, which I previously knew nothing about. In the private sector, you can make purchases any way you want, but in the public sector, everything has to be transparent and open competition. Through my work with composing informal and formal bid documents, I was asked by the district in 2010 to fill the role as the interim purchasing agent because the purchasing agent at that time was being promoted to CFO. I agreed to fill that interim role. Since that time, I've continued that role as well as my logistics manager's role. Last year, I attained the certification as a certified public procurement buyer and a certified public procurement professional through 2 different national organizations. That training helped me with the procurement part of my job. As for logistics, I have 1 office technician, 7 logistics technicians, and 1 stellar assistant logistics manager, Mark Siebert. Mark runs daily operations for our division and oversees the 6 different specialty positions that Chief talked about. Mark is also a reserve firefighter for Metro, and he's busy through the evening, overnight, and then he comes to work every day with a smile. I could not do my job without him, and also with the 7 logistic technicians. I'm blessed with a fantastic crew. In fact, at an upcoming board meeting, we're going to share a video presentation showcasing what the logistics goes through during the day. We don't have that today, but we'll have that in the future for you. And speaking of stellar employees, I'd like to introduce our procurement specialist, Courtney Moore. Courtney, would you like to come up and say a couple words? We have 2 people in our procurement team. Actually, 1 1/3, 1 1/4 in a procurement team. I'm the quarter, she's the 3/4. So Courtney, I'll let you say a couple words if you like.
I'll be brief. Good evening, directors, Chief Haverty, Board Clerk Pania, and Art. Got to keep it going now. I do get the question every now and then, what is purchasing's purpose? And I'd say the short and sweet answer to that is we're here to provide value-added professional procurement services to help divisions meet their goals while promoting fair and open competition. So important. And so from public works, construction, goods, professional services, we're here to help all the divisions get what they need in order to succeed, while also maintaining the integrity of the public procurement process. I don't think any child you ask, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they say, oh, I want to go into purchasing procurement. But truly, it really does capture and revolve around things that are really important to me, like providing such a high level of customer service, both to our internal customers and our external, our vendors. And also just the importance of integrity and ethics. All of that is a key part of procurement, especially public procurement. So it turns out to be quite a good fit. And also just to kind of, again, promote here, purchasing, as Mark mentioned, it was in 2021, the Universal Public Procurement Certification Council, they offer an exam. We both applied to take the test to get our certified professional public buyer certification, and we both passed. Just this last fall, we also applied to take the exam through the National Institute of Governmental Purchasing for their certified procurement professional certification. We both passed. So Metro Fire's purchasing division, we are 100% CPPB certified through the UPPCC and NIGP CPP.
Too many acronyms.
Awesome.
It's a big deal in the procurement world, but thank you all.
Also see too that Metro Fire is in great hands. So that concludes my report tonight, unless you have any questions for me.
Do we have any questions? Oh, yes, Director.
And Chief Wagaman, I'm hoping I'm in the right place. And Chief Haverty, you can step in and redirect me if necessary. I would like to see a report annually, and we're at 2023, and firefighter deaths, Metro Fire, it's 0, and I hope it always stays there. Firefighter injuries and classified both temporary and permanent. I would like to see firefighters lost time due to injuries in both hours and dollars. I would like to see 4850 time, the number of hours used and the dollar value attached to that, including the overtime costs that are necessary to replace that. I would like to see civilian deaths, civilian injuries. And then in another arena, physical rescues. That could be from anything from a building fire to a flood to a car fire. It's a physical rescue, and I think you know what I mean. Property loss, and then I learned something from a young man several years ago, property protected. And then to close that out, and I want to do the same thing. We'll start with fire activity and emergency activity right now. I would like to see the total number of fires, building, vehicle, vegetation, and other. And I would like to see us pursue this type of a report in the EMS arena too. I want to put a little bit more thought into it, but we have had a lot of fatality fires. And the last time that I looked at it, I was a deputy chief here, and firefighter Brian Walsh and Captain Mark Schwegler did a report. And at that period in time, it was either 2010 or 11, right in there. Between this region, we had almost 14. It was either 12. It was 12 or 14 civilian deaths. That's pretty unheard of for this region. And Metro Fire, I've been watching. We've had a lot of civilian fatalities. And I think we need to start quantifying this and quantifying everything that the men and women do so that we can really show. So I know that's a lot to ask, but I would really appreciate it as a board member to be able to talk publicly about really what goes on. So thank you.
Director Rice, you lost me after the first 5, so.
I got a list.
Yeah.
You can share the list. then.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Director Rice, I hear you loud and clear. The good news is we are already capturing a lot of that information. Thank goodness we went to a new image trend reporting program to help capture any other new data that we wish to plug into the
Thank you.
system. And I know the right people are here today to fill in the blanks. So we will work on an annual report and get that to you.
Thank you, Chief.
You bet. Thank you.
Any other questions from directors? Thank you, Chief. You know what? These reports just illustrate what a great organization we have. I mean, we got some fantastic personnel. I mean, I still think we're the best fire, district in the world. Next, we have firefighters local 522 report from Chief. He's the vice president of local 22, Matt Cole.
Good evening, everybody. I like the
And Art.
model that the deputies have been pulling people up to do their reports for them. I'm just kidding. Like, I like this. I like getting to hear from many people in the organization and having them introduced to you. So that in that same sort of intent, I'd like to introduce Pete Vitava. He's one of our directors for Local 522. He represents the membership side by side with me. He just got sworn in for his second term, and I'm going to ask him to provide the 522 report for you.
Apparently you get sworn in for a second term, you have to start doing board reports. So good evening, President Clark, board members, Melissa, Chief Everett, and Art. So since our last board meeting, there's been a couple events. We attended the local 2881 CAL FIRE, had a banquet, strengthened our relationship with our CAL FIRE brothers and sisters. It was pretty well attended, a lot of fun. Last week, we had a call with DHCS to hear the status of the PPGMT program, its challenges, what the future looks like for that program, and the direction that that's going to go. We had our EMS recruitment for our Metro Medic program close, and glad to report, super excited. We had 55 ALS and over 300 BLS applicants. We haven't seen a number of 55 in that ALS column in quite some time. So we're really super excited about that. Really appreciate all the work from the recruitment team and everybody that had anything to do with that and getting that word out. We had e-board last week. We swore in some new officers on the Metro Fire side. Myself and Sean Schollard were sworn in for a second term as directors, as well as officially sworn in our Deputy Director, Mike Gildone. And Steve Gilman, who is our IFF 10th District Vice President, attended the meeting and did the swearing in for us. It was nice to have him in town and hear about all the things going on in IFF. Our Explore program officially started this past week, and we have 15 522 members that are working as mentors for these explorers, which is going to be fun to see them grow and hopefully maintain the Metro Fire family and grow up to become firefighters and stay in our program. So that's a really exciting new program that we're starting. We have Mocha Monday and B14, a little over 30 members attended. Yesterday, we had labor management, Chief Haverty and his 3 deputies, along with Matt Cole and the 3 directors attended. Very productive, laid out a nice foundation for what this next year looks like and the direction we want to move. We have a unit meeting tomorrow at 0900 in Battalion 13's area. And actually some new news, kind of along the lines, Director Rice, what you're talking about. On March 20th of 2021, we had a member pass away, Kyle Rutherford, in a tragic accident. And since then, it was determined as a line of duty death. through a lot of presumptive reasons. And this afternoon, we were just informed that Kyle Rutherford is going to go on the wall in Colorado Springs this year as a line of duty death. So that was pretty exciting to hear. And finally, we have ALTS conference that Matt Cole and all of 522 board will be attending. ALTS is the affiliate leadership training summit in Clark County, Las Vegas. Clark County sounded better. It'll be in Las Vegas, so we'll get a lot of information that we can bring back. It's always nice to hear the new things that are coming up in different arenas through the IFF that they sponsor that. So that's all I got, unless you have any questions.
Do we have any questions for? Go ahead.
Yeah, just quickly, I noticed on a few of our engines, we have recognitions for Kyle Rutherford. Was that 522 that put those together?
Yes, those were, you're speaking of the memorial stickers?
Yeah, they look wonderful.
Yeah.
I just thank you for
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, and those were floating around the district. They're on a lot of all the apparatus. I
Yeah.
can't say every apparatus, but I would say a good majority of the apparatus. People wear them, on their water bottles and personal items, laptops. and things.
Yeah, I've seen them on a few engines. They look great. It's good that you
Thank
guys
you.
did that. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else?
Yes, Director Weber.
Now, I know everyone's gonna think I'm trying to be funny, but I'm truly not. Can you put together, can 522 put together a list of these 500 acronyms that you guys are throwing around with the letters for everything? I'm not kidding a bit. It's hard to keep up. In the day, we had EMT and CPR, so I can't keep up with all of these things because they're not described in most of my information. But seriously, can somebody put something, a glossary together so I can understand what these mean?
Yeah, like ALTS, you're referring to the Affiliate Leadership Training Summit?
No, I got that.
Yeah.
The rest of it, that have 15 letters.
Okay,
Thank
we'll
you.
do that.
I'm being
We'll work on
serious.
it. Yeah, we'll work on that.
All right. Thank
Anything
you.
else?
Any other questions? All
Thank
right.
you very
Thank
much.
you very much for your report.
Appreciate it.
Chief Cole, you as well. Thank you. All right. All right. Next, we go on to committee and delegates reports, the executive committee. Our next meeting will be February 9th at 5:15 PM. Next, we go on to Communications Center, JPA. DC Wagman.
Good evening again, directors. We have not established the new schedule yet where we're going to have 2 meetings per month. We will start in the 1st of February with that new schedule. So I will have a report for you each and every night, each and every meeting night. Thank you. And a report.
Thank you, Chief. Next, Finance and Audit Committee. The committee chair, you're the new chair, Director Wood.
Thank you, Mr.
Just
President.
appointed chair.
Thank you. Yeah, the Finance and Audit Committee met at 5:30 this afternoon. We did elect a chair and vice chair. I was elected chair. Director Weber is my vice chair, or the committee's vice chair, I should say, excuse me. We got a detailed report through or from CFO O'Toole regarding the status, financial status as of 10/31/2022. And a couple of things of note from that report. Our CERT fund, which covers the promise we made to our members to provide retiree healthcare, is currently approximately $65 million in that fund, which represents about 24.6% of our unfunded liability. So it goes to show the importance of continuing that commitment, funding that commitment we made so we can honor it down the road. There's some other, at least initially, concerning notes about revenue being down relative to the budget. But on the flip side, we do have spending also down. One of the other issues of concern is we did have this year an increase of over $4 million in PERS fees, PERS costs that the agency had to absorb that we did not have in the prior years. And currently, we are looking to be relatively within our reserves goal at the end of the year. So that was also some good news from that. Our next meeting is February 23rd at 2023 in this room at a time to be determined. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next, we have a Policy Committee, Director Gould.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to announce that I've been demoted out of that committee, and I have no clue who's the new chair of that committee. That's the
Well,
truth.
you'll know which next meeting. Very
So I
nice.
have nothing.
I'm sure they're gonna wish you've done a great job all the time I've been on the committee, so I vote for you. I'm not supposed to do that, sorry. Next, we have board member questions and comments. The first one I'm gonna start with is Director Jones.
Director Jones.
Yes.
Thank you very much, President Carr. Appreciate that. Good. I get to acknowledge each and every presentation that we had here. It is a fantastic summary, present day report, and future goals. Everyone, it was just great. We had, just to recap, Chief Wagaman, Jones, the support service information. We had Parker Wilbur with his staff, Brenda Briggs and others for our community relations. We had Chief Mitchell and Chief Perryman for our EMS. We have our administrative report from Bailey with his full staff. And we appreciate the continue with our staffing and classification study. This was an excellent, complete update for all us directors. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Next, Director Sailors.
Good evening, everyone. Gay just took the words out of my mouth, but first, it's a new year, and it's been 3 years since we've all been here together in this room, seated up here. I too extremely enjoyed all of the presentations. It made me very happy to see the presentations coming from not just the deputy chiefs, but from the people that are doing the jobs. We got to hear from them. It was so positive, and it just makes me very proud to be up here as a director for this wonderful organization. There is so much talent and so many dedicated workers that work at Metro Fire. I just want to thank each and every one of you for doing the wonderful, exceptional job that you all do. And with that, I'll say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Rice?
Real quick, I appreciate all the staff report, and Captain Wilburn, thank you so much for the job that you all do in community services and being the face of Metro Fire. For the entire staff, very high level professionalism, and I appreciate it. My last one, I was retired, but I was the local 522 president when I believe it was Chief Bailey, then a unit representative for local 522, and then Fire Chief Kurt Hinkie. It could have been Mark Wells, but I think it was Chief Hinkie, started the OPEB Retiree Health Trust. And it's been 10 years, it's at $65 million. And I would put kind of a charge into Vice President Cole and the district. I've always thought, I don't even know what it is now. I know I paid 8% and I still pay something. I don't know if it's gone up. This is critically important to our members and our future members to relieve the pressure on retiree healthcare on members coming up. It's not going to mean anything to me in a few short years. I'm going to cross over to Medicare. This number and where we're at is really important, and I encourage both sides to really look at it and look what it takes to get us in a position where our newer and younger members are not going to have to worry about their retiree health care. I think we're in that spot. We should probably start talking about it. And some people might not want to hear this, but if you're going to invest some money somewhere, this is a good place to do it. And I'd put some more in. So you better hurry fast because you only got 3 years to catch me. But this one's important. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Director. Director Gould.
Sorry. Thanks, Art. And I'd like to do my annual, it's been a few years with this whole pandemic thing, but I'd like to do my annual plea of any organization that's out there in this region that benefits from our activity. I'd like to see it reciprocated by you sponsoring scholarships so we can reach into some of the communities that aren't represented at fire camp and provide those scholarships to those young people so they can have maybe potentially a different experience with the fire service. So again, a challenge to any organization or individual that has some funds laying around to get them to Brenda and the team there, because you saw the work that they do in this community, and it is honestly priceless. To touch those young people at schools and in the community and at fire camp is really priceless. It does cost, and there are a lot of things that go into it. So I just like to make that plea. And again, thank you, Art.
Thank you for that, Director. Next, Director Sheets.
Good evening. I wanted to also say that presentations were awesome. Looking at the video of all of the kids at the fire camp, I remember all 3 of my daughters got to go to it and experience it, and we still have the certificates and the little hats and everything like that. So it's really awesome. Really excited that the every 15-minute drills are going to be coming back. It's such a great partnership with the community and the hospital side, and just seeing the impact that it has on younger, high school students and trying to prevent those senseless deaths. So really looking forward to seeing some of that in this year. Would like to extend my gratitude to Station 31 and their crew for having me for dinner on Monday night. It was really awesome. And with that, I just want to send my prayers and my thoughts and my condolences for the victims that were killed in the mass shootings this weekend. So if we could at the end. Have
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Director Costa.
Thank you. I do want to thank staff and all of those that came today to present, because I think it's important that we get to meet everybody and learn what everybody's doing. So thank you for that. I do want to highlight the first 2 presentations, because I think those are extremely important to make sure that we are well informed and we make the right decision. So I know sometimes the questions can be entertaining and stressful, but it's important that we hear what's going on and that we are informed so we can make the right decisions. And I do think workload, how we look at workload and how we assist the teams with that workload is important. So thank you for all of that. And to, the strategic plan focused on communication, I want to make sure that we're utilizing the 9 individuals up here and our social media platforms and our networks to really get the word out. So please reach out. And then finally, I just want to thank the men and women of this organization that wake up every day to meet the challenges in the community and the risks of public safety. And really thank your families for the sacrifices that they make so you can do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Director. Director Weber.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chief, Melissa, and Art. I want to thank everybody for their hard work. You know who you are, you know what you've done. Thank you very much. I want to recognize the fact that the chief and his senior staff and his staff, in 17 days in his report, you could hear the amount of work that he is already making, they are already making a significant impact on. Certainly work comp is one tiny thing, but I applaud you for taking it as seriously as you and your team have. You are being noticed, all of you. The membership notices. And again, in just an extremely short time, the amount of work that you've already been able to accomplish, there was a reason that you were chosen for the interim chief, and you're doing a fantastic job, and I applaud you and your entire team. So thank you.
I'm a little worried when I say I've got this idea.
Director Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I only had one comment, but I have one more to add to that after Director Gould's comments. I want to make sure everyone understands that fire camp is run by volunteers. So please, if you have money, you can donate to the program, do it. Know that it's going to the program. All of our counselors and all the people that work at fire camp do it on their own. So I just want to make sure everybody understands and appreciates the commitment that they make. Next, I need to get my notes up here. Next, we do have the Fill the Boot for Burns coming up, February 3rd, 4th, and 5th. My wife will be in the counting room all 3 days, so for anyone that's out there, say hello to her. We do need, Chief Cole, I'll need your assistance, or I won't, but the Burn Institute will. We do need firefighters still for shifts on that weekend. Anyone can volunteer for any number of spots. We have people that run water out and make sure that the boots get taken back and forth. So they're runners. They're just like a couple hours of shifts in the morning or in the afternoon, just to help out and help these firefighters. Donations are needed. Chief, you've got a very big boots to fill, so to speak. Last year, for the last several years, Metro's won the Chiefs Challenge, and last year's tally was 13 grand from Chief Mark. So we've got a lot of money to start raising for this organization, so we can make sure that comes back. The other chiefs have done a very good job learning how we've been able to come up with such large amounts for the Saturday morning event with the Chiefs get together. So they're definitely not going to rest on their laurels. So we got a lot of work to make sure we get that trophy back. But Valerie Smart at the Burn Institute, ffburn.org. I think it's Valerie.smart. But anyways, their phone number is 916-739-8525 for anyone that can volunteer. Talk to your people, family, anyone that can help. Please get them out there for the weekend and help the firefighters and help this organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Wood. Chief, I know you can do it. I know you can win that contest.
All of us
with our help.
All of us need to stuff that.
And I'm volunteering too.
Yeah.
So let that be known. Finally, what more can I add? These directors have just covered everything. I mean, it's amazing. I just want to thank the A shift for Station 106 for inviting me to dinner. It's very interesting, a lot of fun chatting with the fellows because there were only men there. And then I also want to thank Captain Wilburn and Brenda Briggs and what was her name from the Red Cross? Lori, for letting us tag along with them and this. Yes, and KCR3 for letting us tag along with them on this blitz. It was fantastic. What a service to the community. I mean, some people got like, what, 5 or 6 alarms or geez, every room, even for a garage, whatever. It was great. And the guys responded. They installed the devices and it was just a fantastic day. And Chief, thank you also for, inviting us. And that's all I have for my comments. We're going to adjourn to our closed session. So,
Mr. President, one quick aside, I forgot.
Yes.
We're doing kudos and acknowledgement for activities.
Yes.
We got some football Saturday, the Pig Bowl.
Oh, that's right.
Stadium, kickoff 1 p.m. Hogs versus Fire Dogs. Just a reminder, it's out there, big fundraiser and activities for children and such, starting around 11-ish, I believe. Anyway, look up Big Bowl, you'll get all the details you need. In the interest of public community involvement.
Thank you, Director. Thank you. Now we're going to adjourn the closed session. We have some expensive lawyers and they're sitting around and the clock's ticking. Okay.
You do the moment now or later?
Oh, no, we'll do the moment of at adjournment. Okay. Yeah, right? That's the first time, yeah.
You're the boss.
Well, no, yeah. open session?
Yeah, we got 'em.
Board clerk? Oh, wait a minute. We'll let Chief sit down and rise. Okay. We will reconvene into open session. Board clerk, would you report out on the closed session, please?
Yes, gladly. I'll begin the report out from closed session. The board met in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 subsection A on two matters. The first involving firefighter Matthew Lefevre. And the board voted to authorize its third-party administrator to effectuate settlement on the claim. The board also met for Captain Eric Kellenberger. And the board also voted to authorize settlement to its third-party administrator to effectuate settlement of the claim. The board met in pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9 subsection B for two cases. The first involving Caliburg collision. The board voted to deny this claim and refer the matter to the district's insurance carrier for further handling. Under the same government code, the board met and discussed the claim for Manuel Lira. The board voted to deny the claim and authorize settlement or to deny the claim and refer the matter to the district's third-party administrator for further discussion. In the third closed session item for personnel matters, public employment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, board clerk selection process. The board took no reportable action on this item.
Thank you. Having no I'm gonna do it this way. The next board meeting will be, the regular board meeting will be February 9th at 6 p.m. And what anticipated items will be to be determined. And I'd like to, having no further business, I'd like to adjourn this meeting with a moment of silence for the victims of the massacres that occurred in Southern California and Half Moon Bay. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you,
gentlemen.
All right.
Somebody took our hats.